secretly printing steamy novels and accidentally connecting to my boss printer. Sometimes it's really quite helpless to be a one-man boss. He looked at the more than 200 chapters of Pushing Down the High-Cold President with a complex expression. Sophia, is your brain broken from reading these things? But it wasn't long before he actually knocked on my room door. Sophia, there are a few places in the novel that don't quite match reality. Open the door and let's talk about it in detail. I haven't had a period in 3 months. The doctor said I'm producing too little estrogen. He suggested I find a man. This widowed king is holding the diagnosis and is in a state of despair. Bestie thoughtfully sent me an erotic fiction, saying it would stimulate my hormones. Quietly printed out a copy during my groping moment at work. And the printer didn't respond? I clicked again. Still no response. After repeating n times, I gave up. Half an hour later, Nick sent a message. Sophia, come here for a second. In the president's office. Ethan Joe's face was gloomy. The printer beside him was smoking. He looked at my proposal with mockery on his face. Sophia, do you have a password for this proposal? I put on my professional fake smile. You told me to keep documents confidential. I am talking about important documents. Ethan Joe's eyebrows furrowed slightly as he swept me a glance. Do you think the trash can needs to be locked? I gritted my teeth. The password is 123,456. Ethan Joe interrupts me before me, looking at me with a blank stare. Sophia, don't ever overcomplicate things like that again. I said. Me. The PPT template is good. Expensive, right? He still didn't look up. He still doesn't look up. Do you think putting a gold rim on a piece of shit will change what it is? Your program is like a bad clam chowder. It's messy and toxic. Sophia, are you in a normal state of mind? I gritted my teeth. It's getting out of hand. He sighed and took out a thick pile of paper from the printer and threw it in front of me. Sophia, is this what your brain broke down reading? I fixed my eyes on it and my brain almost exploded. Wasn't that the steamy novels I had printed? Crap. The boss printer I connected to? Goodness. Over 200 chapters of steamy novels. The printer was still smoking and puffing. Ethan Joe rubbed his temples wearily. Sophia, how many copies have you typed? Are you planning on handing out a copy of erotic fiction? He sighed. Sometimes it's really quite helpless to be a boss all by yourself. Looking up at me again with a complicated look. Still. What do you have in mind? I stood there. My toes already digging into a fairy castle. No. I clicked the wrong. I've just been a little stressed lately. Ethan Joe looked down and flipped through 2 pages. And the first page, Pushing Down the Highly Cold President, was blindingly obvious in large letters. The knot in his throat moved slightly, his eyebrows frowning deeper and deeper. And he coughed lightly. I'm also a little stressed right now. I forced my embarrassment and raised my hand to directly unplug the printer. Boss? These I take away. I looked at the pile of printed novels. Ethan Joe lazily raised his eyelids. Put it here. It'll steady your mental state. Me. Back to the workstation. I quietly opened steamy novels. Only read the first chapter. The cerebellum almost atrophied. The protagonist is the president and a small secretary. And the opening is an office play. Outrageous. Too outrageous. Powerful. Too powerful. Raw and unlovable. I'm crazy. No kidding. I don't want to do it anymore. I can't go on this B shift even for a day. I've been a secretary to Ethan Joe for 5 years. And I've been at his beck and call for 5 years. And I've done everything but sleep with him. Ethan Joe. A brief introduction. A control freak with a poisonous tongue and a lack of morals. Virgo. Obsessive compulsive. A belly full of bad water. Before joining the company, I heard that dozens of secretaries have been fired. I can survive until now. Purely because I am poor. And he gives more. To ask me if I have any idea about him. Before joining, I go. So handsome a man. After joining, I want to tear his mouth. 5 years ago, I am still a new job white. The first time to accompany him to participate in the entertainment. A customer colorful look at me and ask. General Manager Zhou, this secretary is quite introverted. Mr. Zhou's secretary is quite an introvert. She doesn't even talk to me. I was a bit nervous for a moment. But Ethan Zhou slanted a glance at him and said in a droll manner. Sophia talks to people. Ghosts. And dogs. I was shocked. But he looked at me blankly. Sophia. If you see this kind of person in the future, just tear him apart. Am afraid of. What are you afraid of? Am not afraid of him. Am afraid of the master. So. Are you calling me a dog? Ethan Zhou. The quality of people depends on their mood. Once a company slandered our product. Ethan Zhou directly live on the microphone. Tongue fights with the group. After scolding the black guy, he scolded the boss of the other company. 3 hours. Quoting the scriptures. Mouth like a torrent. Because the curse is too dirty. Was forced offline. In the end, the boss was scolded to autism. Ethan Zhou won the title of the business sector sprayer ended. The company is engaged in a large chain of supermarkets. He did not relieve his anger. Let me go to the opposite supermarket. Secretly crushed his chips and instant noodles. And let me not be afraid. Beaten up counts as a work injury. After all, we're so law-abiding. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Is this what people do? Want to ruin a song's filter. Then set an alarm for it. Want to ruin a man's filter. Then become his employee. Ethan Zhou. Yuck. Not worth dating. I looked at the 8 words irregular menstruation. Too little estrogen in the medical report. Quietly read a chapter of steamy novels. My heart is torn and tingling. I want a man. But I don't want a relationship. And I don't want to break the law. Bestie called me to go to a Netflix bar. I heard that inside the male entertainers dancing is very sexy. Stimulate a bit of dopamine. Period will not come? The bar was lit up and a few male entertainers were on the dance floor. Look at that one. How's that? It's too greasy. What about that one? Too gay. What about that one? Too pretentious. Bestie. Soha. Is your heart made of stone? No wonder you're menopausal. It's over. I can't even be interested in men anymore. I tilted my head back and drank a glass of wine, swallowing the bitterness in my heart. Bestie picked up his cell phone and opened the shopping app with a you-know-what smile on his face. Send you a happy little toy. Healthy and hygienic and efficient. Better than men. She really? I cried to death. 1,000 thanks. It's all in the wine. The cell phone suddenly buzzed earthquake. Caller. Nick. Ethan Zhou's hypnotic voice came out of the receiver. Sophia. Come to work. Fuck you. What the hell time is it? It's been 2 weeks without a break and 3 months without a period. The resentment I built up is enough to resurrect 10 zombies. Am not going. I signed a labor contract. Not a contract of sale. It's the boss incompetence that I can't finish my work on time. I don't want to work this shift anymore. Sophia. Are you here for the period? You're so grumpy. You're so mean. Am so bad-tempered. Am laughing. Being sociable is another price. It's annoying if you come to period. But it's even more annoying if you don't. That night, I had a dream. I dreamt that I became an octopus. With me as the center and Ethan Zhou. Jerk colleagues and Party A as the radius. I slapped 8 people at the same time. But also turned around and gave each person 8 mouths. The next day, dreaming woke up laughing. Just opened my eyes to see Ethan Zhou on the bed. Blah blah blah. Bad luck. Another nightmare. I rolled over. Awake? A low, husky voice floated above my head. Ethan Zhou? Why is Ethan Zhou in my bed? No. Why am I in Ethan Zhou's bed? I looked at the 2 clusters of black and blue under Ethan Zhou's eyes. And the teeth marks on his neck. Silly. It's not true. Is it? I got high and slept with my boss? Last night's scene began to replay in my head. And my scalp tingled. Boss? I drank too much yesterday and don't remember anything, huh? I chose to play dead. Playing dead? Ethan Joe hooked a smile that he had already seen through. It's not easy to fool him with this kind of IQ. I'm sorry, boss. I didn't control myself yesterday. What's worse than putting my boss to bed is that I beat him up. Last night. I hugged him and punched and kicked him. Crying and cursing at the same time. It's all your fault. I haven't had a period in 3 months. For a moment, I wanted to die. But it felt like there was someone else who deserved to die. Ethan Joe sighed against his tired eyes. Help me up. Go to the hospital. OMG. Did I hit him so hard yesterday? I carefully helped him up and couldn't help but ask. Boss? Do you have health insurance? Health insurance reimbursement. Don't let me lose, ha. He looked at me speechlessly. And I lowered my head sheepishly. Boss? Does it count as field work? Ethan Joe. Sophia. Does not coming to period affect your nerves? Me. Yes. It will. It will drive me crazy. He leaned against the car and closed his eyes tiredly, raising his hand to rub his temples again. Boss? Aren't you feeling well? Well. It hurts all over my body and brain. Hey. Really abnormal. What's even more abnormal is that he even hung up a gynecologist. Boss? Are you having irregular periods too? He looked at me and sighed. Sophia. Why don't I hang up a brain clinic for you later? Me. In the consultation room. The doctor is an old Chinese doctor. Do you usually get angry? No. I have a good personality. The doctor shook his head. Well. All I do is sulk. The doctor shook his head. Well. I'm always angry. He looked at Ethan Joe again. Don't make her angry in the future. Ethan Joe was stunned and smiled again. Okay. The doctor took his pulse. Frowned and gave Ethan Joe another look. Muttering to himself. It shouldn't be. He shook his head again. In an instant. The heart is cold. Doctor. Am I have any serious illness? He asked. Have you had sex? I blushed. No. How long has it been? This. I gritted my teeth. 27 years. Come and strike me dead with a thunderbolt. The doctor looked at Ethan Joe with an incredulous face. What? Are you young people doing this platonic love thing now? Me. What platonic love? We young people only like pure gold. I explained stiffly. He is my boss. Get a boyfriend. The doctor advised me. You are too weak. Take some masculine energy. I stood there with only one thought. Destroy it. The first thing I did was to hand in my resignation letter. After 5 years of working for Ethan Joe as a secretary, I had had enough of being angry. And I had earned enough money. The gears of fate didn't turn much. But the chains of fate fell off one after another. Boss? I quit. Ethan Joe held the resignation letter for a long time without making a sound. And finally squeezed out a sentence. Sophia. If you think I've done something wrong, you can say so. Really? Uh-huh. I turned around and made a 20-page PPT on Ethan Joe's shortcomings and gave it to him. Anyway. I'm getting out of here. So I'm not going to pretend. Ethan Joe looked at the PPT and did not make a sound for a long time. And finally gritted his teeth and replied. Okay. I'll change it slowly. Nick has changed his mind? I hope you'll reconsider your decision to leave the company. I waved my hand. No need to think about it, boss. I want to quit my job and find a boyfriend. Does working affect your ability to find a boyfriend? Doesn't he blush at this question? I don't have time for a relationship at work. He gave me a complicated look. The company doesn't prohibit office romance. I was slightly stunned and reacted. Busy explaining. Oh. You mean Manager Sue from the marketing department. He's a bit old. We're not suitable. Ethan Joe froze. Manager Sue? Oh. You're not talking about Manager Sue? Then it's Little Lee from the planning department? He's quite young and good-looking. But he's just a bit too clingy. Ethan Joe wrinkled his eyebrows and half-smiled. Sophia. Which one is Little Lee again? I was puzzled. Boss? Who are you referring to? He gritted his teeth and twisted his head away. No one. I hurriedly asked. Hey. I'll ask the personnel to recruit a new secretary. Right? He didn't look back. As you wish. Ethan Joe has been so cranky lately that any dog passing by can be slapped twice. I've been so moist lately. I've quit my job. And am swinging for the fences. 3 things at work every day. Paid bathroom breaks. Paid phone charging time. Paid coffee breaks. I picked a new secretary for Ethan Joe. A fresh graduate from a prestigious university. On the first day, she was scolded by Ethan Joe and cried. After she finished her job, she couldn't help but ask me. The little girl couldn't help but ask me after she left the company. Ms. Xia, what has supported you to work in this position for 5 years? I laughed. Of course it's the poverty. Can it be because of a dream? Sophia. The leader is looking for you. See. Here comes the urgency again. Sophia. This is the guy you picked. Ethan Joe's mouth looks like a monkey on fire when he walks in the door. She prepared blackberries and cranberries as fruits for a collaboration with a client. Do you know how hard it was to hold in my laughter when I saw her grinning with big black lips and teeth? I ordered Starbucks for tea. And at the end of the day, the whole conference room echoed with the sound of sucking. Order me the Cheesecake Factory for dinner. And it's not even a private room. Why don't we say it? The post-00s are really good at organizing the workplace. Well, can I get you something more mature? As his mania level soared, the boss wife arrived. According to the usual experience, it should be a marriage call. But Ethan Joe is so manic. He dislikes his own mother when he's mad. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. But it's just that they're so loud. Can't you fight for your life and find a date? Don't talk about what you don't want to talk about. People your age are already fathers. I'm telling you. I just want to see a kid. I'll find you a job as a maid of honor. I'm talking about my own child. Then you and my dad should try harder. Asshole. You son of a bitch. Goodness. It's still a fierce battle this time. I was eating my melon and sharing the latest news with the company's intelligence team. The door to the president's office dangled. And the boss wife came out. Sophia. Come here. Why? You immortals are fighting. Don't bring harm to the mortals. The boss wife huffed and crossed her arms. And her glittering jewelry made my eyes glitter. Sophia. Has Ethan Joe been with any women lately? I carefully compensated for the smile. This seems to be really no. The boss mother stomped her foot in anger and instructed me. Sophia. Show me Ethan Joe's schedule for the past few months. Good Lord. Who am I, Sophia? I am Su Peixing. Carefully presenting the files of the ceremony room to the Empress Dowager. Sophia. You've been with Ethan Joe for 5 years. Tell me the truth. The boss mother suddenly quietly crouched in my ear and asked. Do you think he will like men? I was shocked. And my thoughts opened up at once. After all, it's really hard to judge. Anyway, in the 5 years that I've been following Ethan Joe, there have been quite a few people who coveted his beauty. But the man has lived a life that's more vegetarian than a monk. Sophia. Ethan Joe's cranky mad dog voice rang out again. And he also glared at me with an exasperated look. Boss. It's hard for you to bother and remember that I'm your boss. Me. Sophia. I'm not paying you $1 million a year to eat your way through the company. Look at last month's profits. You have nothing to say? He threw me a copy of the monthly analysis. In the past, I would have pretended to be a grandson. But now I'm leaving. So what the hell? I think this month's performance is not good. It's not my problem alone. I'm not the only one in the company. Everyone is bad. Is there a problem with the manager? You're the boss. And you can't even do this little thing right? I came to our company because I wanted to work here. When I first came to our company, I was interested in its development. But I'm disappointed that it has developed to such a state. Let's just say, who doesn't have an anti-PUA? It's not easy to live. So don't blame yourself if you can blame others. Ethan Joe wrinkled his eyebrows and looked at me incredulously. Sophia. You're quite arrogant these days. Aren't you? I don't want to be the boss. I'll wash my hands and work as your secretary. Why don't you wash your hands and become your secretary? Am a bad influence. A patriotic. Honest. Irreverent. Friendly depending on the situation. Bugger off at the end of the day. One more second is disrespectful to the job. Off the clock. That's enough suffering for today. When the alarm goes off in the morning, there are a million reasons to take a vacation instantly in your head. Even the most cheerful person has to collapse into a batch of faces on the way to 8 a.m. Scrambling to open the pin to punch in. Late punch and successful. I looked at my watch. 9 o'clock 1. Aha. My full attendance. Sophia. It's late. Ethan Joe appeared at some point. His mouth hooked in a smirk as he watched the show. I gritted my teeth and smiled. Justice can be late. Why can't you be late for work? Great. The madness of the day was about to begin again. However, the one who went crazy before me was Ethan Joe. A new secretary was recruited. With white skin and long legs. Comparable to a Netflix star. She was fired after only half a day's work. I was eating melon in the intelligence group. Sophia. The urges are coming again. Ethan Joe is going crazy again. This is your new pick. I was puzzled. What's wrong? She has a good image. Good temperament. Gentle and considerate. Considerate. She's going to stick it to me again. He looks at me like he's going to eat me up. Do you know how helpless I am in the office alone? He's still a bit upset. I can't wait to die when I have a beautiful woman to stick it to me. I sighed. Why don't we get you a man? Okay. I was shocked. Remembering the words of the boss wife 2 days ago. As if I had discovered some great secret. I rubbed my hands together secretly. I have new material to eat. Ethan Joe rubbed his temples. Flipping through the latest plan from the marketing department. Sophia. Have you read the garbage from the marketing department? I really don't understand what's going on in these people's heads. You're the boss. How dare I understand what you can't understand? Besides, the marketing department is full of garbage. It's not just a day or two. Ethan Joe looked at me incredulously. There's a business dinner tonight. You go with me. Come on. You're working overtime again. Am not going. Am leaving and you're still squeezing me. You're the boss. Can't you do this alone? You're the boss. So work more overtime. Ethan Joe's hand lurched and raised his eyes to look at me. Sophia. When do you plan to leave? I asked him tentatively. Can I leave at the end of the month? Yes. His eyes moved slightly. And the corner of his mouth pulled up a winning smile. That's perfect. We'll get our mid-year bonus at the end of next month. No. You said mid-year bonus. A mid-year bonus of a few $100,000. Good boy. Waiting for me here. Just. Can I leave at the end of next month? Handsome but not 3 seconds. For the money. I wimped out. Ethan Joe raised a careless smile with undisguised mockery. Yo. Thought Sophia's wings had hardened? I gritted my teeth. Broken wings. Ethan Joe thought that my image as a dog was too lame. So he brought me to a high-luxury clothing store. Try this one. He pointed to a lotus root color long bodice dress. I looked at the price tag on the dress and hesitated. $8,800. It's a bit expensive. The waiter smiled slightly and said, Ma'am. You're looking at one less zero. Take less? Luxury gown? The rich man's world may be so plain and simple. Boss? This dress. The company to report? I pulled up a doggy smile to Ethan Joe. He sighed breathlessly. I'll report it. Thank you. Boss. Luxury gown I don't remove the label to return it tomorrow. Another profit. Ethan Joe is really a good guy. I shouldn't have said anything. But there is a reason why it's expensive. Wearing luxury gowns. I feel like a real lady who has returned with a vengeance. Instantly transforming myself into a celebrity. Especially the size of the chest. Instantly raised a few levels. Ethan Joe changed into a dark purple suit. And when he saw me, he was slightly stunned. It's quite nice. I was busy putting on my doggy smile again. Thanking the Golden Father. Boss? You look good in this too. In fact, when Ethan Joe doesn't open his mouth, he does have a very disorienting look. Especially when he is wearing a suit. His long legs and small buttocks are so flirty. Ethan Joe swiped his card handsomely. And the driver drove to the banquet venue. Most of the banquet participants are famous entrepreneurs in the city. Ethan Joe coped with it like a fish in water. I was a bit hungry. So I took the opportunity to sneak to the buffet table and show off the desserts. Yo! Isn't this Su Xia? A voice rang out from beside me. And I glanced over my shoulder. Yo! Isn't this my late ex-boyfriend's looking dog? Chen Jingjing was high and mighty, holding her arms and sweeping me around. How did you get into such a high-class party? I gave her a bemused look. How did you get into this party? I slanted her a breathless glance. I came in how you came in. She looked at me incredulously. You can afford to wear his clothes? Do you know how much this dress costs? She suddenly came close to me and ripped off the tag from the back of the dress. Ouch. The tags aren't even off. Are you going to return it later? I'm so sorry. My luxury gown Chen Jingjing also rolled her eyes and mocked. Wearing a famous brand can't cover up a poor flavor. Damn. I want to tear her apart. Not rolling eyes. Who wouldn't? I gave her a blank look. It's a dull life. Toad reviewing humans. You. Su Xia. Chen Jingjing for a moment did not dare to believe. And finally pointed at me and coldly grunted. Su Jiayang and I are about to get married. Jealous? Right? Really? Then congratulations. Lick dog lick to the end have everything. I pulled up a small smile indifferently and shook my head again. But it's just a piece of shit that someone else doesn't want. And you've got it in your mouth. So what's there to show off? Su Jiayang was my boyfriend when I was in college. And he was the one who chased me when we got together. My mother passed away when I was young. My father remarried. And my grandmother raised me. Maybe I was short of love since I was a child. And a little bit of concern from others would touch me for a long time. Chen Jingjing and Su Jiayang is a high school classmate. Licked him for many years. Always in the name of friends to do all the ambiguous things. We had because she argued many times. Later, he took me to see his mom. At that time, I realized that his family conditions are very good. The day of the meeting, his mother is not what good face left only think. I covet his family's property. Su Jiayang is a mom's treasure man. Not long we broke up. Since then, a hard in earning money. Today, if I did not run into Chen Jingjing, I would not remember this file. And she must come to scold. I also have no recourse. Followed Ethan Joe for 5 years. Not to mention, on the cursing this piece, I absolutely afford his cultivation. You. Chen Jingjing was so angry that she crossed her eyebrows and pointed at me for a moment. Su Xia. Don't show off your tongue. In fact, you are sour in your heart. Inferiority complex. Right? I laughed. I have low self-esteem and does not affect me to look down on you. If you have a disease, go to the cure. Don't look for me. I am not a veterinarian. The quality is not known. When strong, if you say dirty words, your mouth will be clean. If you swallow them, your heart will be dirty. One word. Cool. Su Xia. I heard that you are working for someone as a secretary. I really don't know if it's a secretary or a honey. Chen Jingjing eased her emotions and started attacking me again. No matter how much you climb, you can't turn into a phoenix. After all, some people are just born with a poor life. Some people are born with a princess life. I clapped my hands unhurriedly and slowly opened my mouth. You always say that you are a princess. So tell me which KTV Chen Jingjing was momentarily shocked and pointed at me. You. I laughed. You have vegetables on your teeth. Heart quietly read a sentence. Life is like a play. With the dog angry meaningless. I'm not sure if I'm a good person. But I'm not a good person. I scolded others. It is she who has no quality. Su Xia. What are you? Chen Jingjing was mad. Scolded, but I was so angry that I stomped my feet. Who gave you the nerve to dare to talk to me like this? Before I could open my mouth, someone preceded me. I gave her the courage. At some point, Ethan Joe stood beside me. Che. Who are you? Anna Chen swept a glance at Ethan Joe in a lofty manner. And just as the words landed, Su Jiayong hurried over. Mr. Joe. I'm sorry for the offense. I haven't had the chance to pay you a visit. He politely and anxiously nodded an apology and extended his hand to Ethan Joe. Ethan Joe did not have any reaction, but only lazily raised his eyelids. Yo. Who did I think it was? It turns out to be the young son of the Su family. He hooked the corner of his lips, revealing a mocking smile. This banquet is really... anyone can come. Again. He looked sideways at me on the side. Sophia. Let's change to a cleaner place. Su Jiayong preempted us. Mr. Joe. I hope you can give us a chance for the second phase bidding. Su Xia and I are old friends. I didn't know that she is now working for you as a secretary. Ethan Joe couldn't help but laugh out loud, slightly lowering his head with some teasing in his voice as he asked me. Old friend? I was speechless. Ex-boyfriend. Su Jiayong hurriedly explained. Xia. Back then it was me who was sorry for you. At that time my mom always felt that you were not worthy of me. I had no choice before. She's not good enough for you? She's not good enough for you, he said. Ethan Joe couldn't help but snort. When the stinking loach gets a little bit of water, it really thinks it's seafood. Before he pulled up my wrist and lifted his foot to leave, he threw another sentence at Su Jiayong. By the way, the second phase of the bidding matter, now by Su Xia, is solely responsible for. But what I didn't expect was that not long after, Su Jiayong even quietly found me. Xia. I had no choice but to break up that year. And I had a hard time for a long time. The day we broke up, I secretly laughed all night. Also, can you not tell anyone that I talked to you? Really? I can't afford to lose face. Seeing this, Su Jiayong even tried to pull my hand. But I shrugged it off in disgust. Xia. Ethan Joe's tender is really important to me. Help me. You also know. Back then, my mom mainly minded your family. If this project is taken, my mom will definitely not obstruct us anymore. I don't like Anna Chen. You know. I held back a chill in my heart. Su Jiayong. Where did you get the face? A garbage that has been put away for 6 years. Do you think I will have an appetite for it? I don't even want a basin for the water that's been thrown out. Some of the people he talked to were like ex-criminals who couldn't hold their heads up for the rest of their lives. As of this moment, Ethan Joe has a smirk on his face, his voice low and teasing. Sophia Cipher Men is really worrying, he said. I argued. That was before. I couldn't help but ask him. How did you meet Su Jiayong? Ethan Joe laughed in a breathless manner. The bastard son of the Su family. Recently the old man is dying. Thinking of competing with several brothers for the family property. On his little ability. But also dared to come out to show their faces. I was momentarily shocked. He is actually a bastard. Ethan Joe breathlessly glanced at me. Your ex-boyfriend. You do not know? Heh. When Su Jiayong his mom that face. Make himself like the Dowager Empress. His own family has the throne to inherit the same. Cam. Once again in front of Ethan Joe lost face. I silently swiped up my cell phone. And the melon eating group showed another new message alert. Sophia. How come I don't have this group? Ethan Joe's voice rang out coldly. I was shocked and busily covered my phone. Oh. It's just a normal employee group. His eyes narrowed slightly as he moved closer to me. Why do I get the feeling that you're the one badmouthing me? I have 100 million points of vein. Oh. How could? Then tell me to take a look. No way. But he took advantage of my not prepared. Snatched the phone. I rushed to grab. This dog man even bad directly lift high. I jumped half a day cannot reach. High heels are a bit high. not paying attention. Almost fell down. His quick eyes and hands suddenly reached out to help me. I so unexpectedly fell into his arms. The atmosphere was a little strange all of a sudden. His body has a faint wood-tone perfume odor. Just now perhaps drank a little wine. Also with a slight smell of wine. I blushed. Busy getting up to leave. Did not expect him to tighten his arm. Wrapped around my waist. Don't move. His voice was low with something muffled in it. Sophia. Get naked. He looked down slightly. That one. It's gone. That one? He frowned slightly. As if organizing his words. What's that called? The adhesive bra? I looked down and realized that the left breast patch had fallen off. Goodness. I'm lost. Ethan Joe held me up with one hand and took off his suit jacket and put it on me. Back in the car. I sat silently, clutching his jacket and wrapping myself tightly. Embarrassing. So embarrassing. It was a second too long. I don't know how long it took. But Ethan Joe was the first to speak up. Sophia. What are you all spitting at me behind my back? Is this something you can say? I'm talking about you being poisonous. Cold-blooded and inhumane. Or just intermittently crazy. I laughed. I'm not spitting on you. But people are curious why you haven't found a girlfriend after all these years. Ethan Joe hooked a meaningful smile to look at me. Sophia. Why do you think I didn't get a girlfriend for so many years? Me. I don't know. I don't know. After a moment's hesitation. I cautiously probed. Do you want to find a boyfriend? Ethan Joe looked at me and sighed through clenched teeth. Sophia. Don't read so many pornographic books. What little yellow books? That's literature and art. The yellow sky is above me. And I. Sophia. Have no quarrel with gambling and drugs. Sophia. Can't you find the reason in yourself? I couldn't help but argue. No. You can't blame me for not being able to find a date. Can you? Ethan Joe gritted his teeth and smiled. Patting me on the head. Sophia. Are you made of wood? Why is this a personal attack? What did I do to you? When we arrived at our place, we got off the elevator and prepared to open the door. Well, boss, I'll be moving out of this house soon. So if you get a suitable new secretary, you can ask her to move in. That's right. I live next door to the boss. I didn't mean anything by it. It's just because back then when I first became his secretary, he called me to work overtime. And it took me an hour and a half on the subway to get there. In a fit of pique, he arranged for the house next door to him to be a staff apartment, making it convenient for him to be on call 24 hours a day, accompanying him to work overtime late at night, changing the program in the early morning. It was a common occurrence. Ethan Joe leaned against the door and looked straight at me. Sophia. You want to take the money you earned from me and go find another man? He said this. Why did he say it so awkwardly? The money was from him. But it was all my lost youth. Emotional damage and nest egg. Before I could react, he suddenly took a step closer to me. Sophia. Is there a possibility that the reason I'm not looking for a girlfriend is because of you? I froze there. My whole body dumbfounded. Me? It's you. He bowed his head slightly. And I couldn't help but feel a drum beat in my heart as I met his blazing eyes. Because I like you and have been waiting for you. Does that make sense? He really caught me off guard with that straight ball. Even if my brain wasn't working, I should have understood what he meant. I was dumbfounded and didn't know how to react. Flustered, I opened the door and went into the house. Throwing down. Good night. I leaned against the wall. Confused. What did Ethan Joe mean? He likes me? This is ridiculous. If you ask me if I had any thoughts about him, I can only say that I had a momentary crush on him at first. At that time, I had just graduated, and I was so poor that I had to eat bread and pickles 3 times a day. My grandma had a stroke, and my dad and stepmom kept asking me for money. Ethan Joe was a secretary with a monthly salary of $10,000. $10,000 is too much for a poor fresh graduate. The company was a family business and Ethan Joe had just taken over. He was very aggressive and cleared out the nepotistic employees. And made drastic reforms and structural adjustments. At that time, the directors of the company were obstructed by various forces. And Ethan Joe lived in the company directly when he was busy. He is extremely demanding and strict. So when his secretary can last so long? Purely because I am too poor. And he gives more. The first thing I do after each month's paycheck is to remit it to my grandmother's home for treatment. But it wasn't until I came home from vacation once and found my grandmother eating leftovers that my stepmother used my money to buy a car for her own son. I didn't give them any more money. But the stepmother directly found my company. Directly to me to dump a slap. Scolded me, no conscience, ungrateful. The whole company was talking about it. At that time, I just felt that my dignity was shattered and broken on the ground. It was Ethan Joe's appearance that saved me. He asked 2 security guards to bring my stepmother to his office. And directly instructed me. Draw back. I was shocked for a moment. Ethan Joe is a ruthless man who can do anything. That day, I threw back the slap I received. Some people were talking about me behind my back. And when Ethan Joe found out about it, he directly fired those people. To be honest, there were really no words to express my gratitude to him at that time. It was the peak of good feelings, so to speak. However, it wasn't long before I dropped the ball. Ethan Joe had already changed his face. At that time, in order to earn more bonuses, I talked about a project. The process is very smooth. I also thought I picked up the treasure. Later, I realized that the company is a notorious scoundrel. Often delinquent payments. A few million of the final payment. The delay is not delivered. Ethan Joe scolded me. Sophia, do you have no brain? If you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, get lost. If you can do it. If you can't, get lost. Can you sell your whole body to pay for the several $1,000,000? At that time, I was really anxious and panicked. And I didn't know what to do when I was in such a big trouble. Later, I heard that the boss of the other side is relying on his wife to get to the top. I thought of a bad idea. Online shopping a fake stomach. Pretending to be pregnant. And went to their company every day. The other party does not receive. I will stay in the company hall for half a day. Someone asked me, only touching the stomach, and said, I'm looking for Jean XX. Of course. Within 3 days, Mr. Zhang's wife heard about it. In the end, with a bruised face, he surrendered and admitted defeat, paying me the balance. I took advantage of the situation and asked for 5 more points in liquidated damages. Ethan Joe only commented on this. Yo. Sophia is getting the hang of it. Since then, I seem to have opened up the 2 chakras. And I am becoming more and more Ethan Joeized. He's a man who has a lot of tricks up his sleeve to make his opponents feel vulnerable. In a word, he is always in lack of morality. But always in lack of morality. In these 5 years, under his leadership, the company's profit has doubled several times. And my income has also doubled several times. Of course, there was a downturn during this period. And there was a year when the company's capital chain was in trouble. Ethan Joe asked me, Sophia, what if the company goes bankrupt? I was about to comfort him. But then the man said, I only have $5 million left in my card. Me. That's when I realized that some people are born in Rome and some people are born as bulls and horses. And there is a whole galaxy between Rome and the bulls and horses. People's ancestors have been rich for 3 generations. And my family has been poor for 3 generations. So, what are you thinking about this gap between us? Besides, we're in a hierarchical relationship. In the workplace, the office underground love is a big taboo. Besides, the other party is still their boss. Any boss with a little brain will not have feelings with their secretary, should not have. So, what he just said, was he out of his mind? Knock. Knock. There was a knock on the door. Sophia. It's me. Ethan Joe's voice came from behind the door. Is there something wrong? His voice was low. Your delivery came to me. We live next door to each other. And it does happen often that the wrong courier is delivered. I took a deep breath and opened the door. He handed me a cardboard box. I opened it and realized it wasn't mine. He explained. His eyes fell on my face. And I felt that there was an unspoken meaning in his gaze. Thanks. I reached out and took it, glancing at the contents of the box and dying in my tracks. Crap. Isn't this the toy Bestie bought me? Oh my god. Can this planet still stay? Have a lightning strike me to death? No kidding. With a red face, I pushed Ethan Joe out. Thank you. Good night. I leaned back against the wall, feeling like my whole consciousness had gone haywire. My face was red and hot, and the faint scent of woodsy perfume from Ethan Joe's clothes drilled into my nose. Obviously I didn't drink, but I felt dizzy and a little headstrong. I don't know how long it has been. At the time of confused consciousness, the knock on the door sounded again. Susia. It's me. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Ethan Joe entered with a stride of his long legs and closed the door with his backhand. He approached, his eyebrows colored with light in the dark night. And I subconsciously backed away. My whole body was encircled by him in the corner. And my heart couldn't help but beat faster as my eyes crossed. Why did you buy those things? He lowered his head, his eyes looking straight at me. I was so ashamed and flustered for a moment that I didn't know how to answer at all. Auntie hasn't come yet? His breath spilled over my ears and my throat went dry. Feeling unspoken desire ignite inside me. Remember what the doctor said? He looks down, his eyes burning and his voice muffled. Sophia. Why don't you? Try me? How? How to try? Well, I still didn't know what to do. He actually pressed me against the door and kissed me. I was momentarily defenseless. And he was sharp and fierce. It took a long time before he let me go. My brain lacked oxygen. And I breathed in a big mouthful of fresh air. Ethan Joe. Are you crazy? I gasped as my hands clutched his shirt. His eyes glowed with a ghostly light as he looked straight at me. You're really going to go crazy if you keep stimulating me. Ethan Joe. We can't. I pressed against his shoulder, trying to find what I suspected was sanity. Then I'm leaving? He asked. His eyes locked on mine. Sosha. You really don't want me? He hangs his head, some aggravation still in his tone. I whispered back with a red face. That's not what I meant. Then, let's have a good chat? His voice was low and husky. Let's talk about what? There are a few parts of that novel of yours that are written in a way that doesn't match reality. And I feel the need to correct your perception. His arm tightened and he pressed it against my ear with a hint of seduction. Let's talk in bed? I swear. I was really going to push him away. But then, the atmosphere got to that point. Besides, I had been holding it in for too long. Of course, Ethan Joe wasn't much better. All in all, it was a night of chatting. And my back ached. I woke up in the morning. Looked at the sleeping person beside me. Only one word. Regret. The color of the heart. How can you lose your mind because of a few words from him? I quietly get out of bed. Pick up the clothes to put on. Suddenly felt a warm current in my lower abdomen. I'm not going to be able to get the best out of it. But I'm going to be able to get the best out of it. He said. I can't help but sigh with emotion. Ethan Joe. You're pretty good at what you do. I quietly finished changing my aunt's napkin and was ready to leave. Just as I stepped into the living room, a raspy voice sounded behind me. What are you doing? I turned around and saw Ethan Joe leaning against the bedroom door. He was wearing only a pair of pants, and his muscular upper body was covered with my masterpieces. I blushed. Going to work? Don't go. He rubbed his head, his voice lazy. No. Can't be late. I returned stiffly. Heh. That's not what someone said 2 days ago? He teased me unabashedly. I have seriously realized my previous wrong thinking. I explained stiffly. It's Saturday. He spoke leisurely. Me. Why is today Saturday? For the first time I hated weekends so much. I'll go make some breakfast. I panicked and ducked into the kitchen and cooked some white porridge. When I brought it out, Ethan Joe had taken a shower and changed his clothes. We sat at the table in silence and finished the congee quietly. Finally, he couldn't help but speak. "Susia, there is nothing you want to say?" I was stunned. Silent for a long time. And spoke in a small voice. "When you're full, just go." He sighed in a deep voice, his eyes looking at me. "Yesterday, I was tossed around for 3 days in the morning. And a bowl of congee was enough to get rid of me. Wasn't it?" My face swished red. "What kind of words are these? Why don't I make you a pot of turtle soup later?" I cautiously tried and reminded him again. "Yesterday. It was you who sent yourself to the door. There is a cheap not to take advantage of the son of a bitch. Moreover, it was he who took the initiative to seduce me. This kind of thing." A slap in the face. Ethan Joe gritted his teeth and questioned me. "What is our relationship?" I said. "Sex buddies? Bed partner? Susia, what the hell do you take me for? A tool or a drug?" He stared at me in anger, his breathing uneven. "Don't you see? Cheating people's feelings. Cheating people's bodies. Not responsible for the backhand. Playing with such flowers." He accused me sentence by sentence. As if I was the scum who put up his pants and turned his face away. "I waited for you for 5 years because I want to marry you as my wife. Not to be your bed partner or fuck buddy." "I cannot believe it for a moment," he said. "He waited for me for 5 years. I was dumbfounded. Why wait for me? Waiting for you to shine. Waiting for you to see my heart. And for you to see your own heart." Word by word hit the tip of my heart. Ethan Joe's eyes also colored a trace of lust. He looked straight at me. He looked straight at me. "Susia, all these years, I don't believe you've never had any feelings for me." His words were a bit of questioning, but also like a spot-on diagnosis. "Admittedly, it's a lie to say that I've never had any feelings for you. Ever since I was a child, no one has ever stood up for me. When my stepmother came to the office to embarrass me, he helped me fight evil with evil. And taught me to get rid of my family's kidnapping by picking up my grandmother. Accompanying clients to socialize. When he was deliberately harassed to mooch, he directly smashed the bottle on the person's head. Exasperatedly reprimanded me. "Sophia, you are to be my secretary. Not to accompany the drinks." From then on, at all meals, he was the one who drank. In the 3rd year after graduation, my grandmother died of a cerebral hemorrhage. He accompanied me to take care of the aftermath. Granted me a month's vacation. And threw me a card. "Tell me where I want to go to play, where to play. Want to buy what to buy what. Come back to adjust the mood and then work." These years, I followed him. From inferiority and cowardice to shine. From having nothing to being materially and spiritually rich. Of course there are moments when my heart flutters. But whenever I realize such thoughts, I subconsciously neuter and discard them. Force myself to think more about Ethan Joe's venom and inhumanity. We are not the same. Even if I am excellent. But only a laborer. And he. Always at the top of the pyramid. To put it bluntly, the circles are different and it's hard to come together. This is what I realized early on. "Ethan Joe. We are not from the same world." I bowed my head and spoke softly. He couldn't help but ask me in return. "How are we not from the same world? Are you from Mars?" "Me. Why do you like me?" "If he is looking for a girlfriend, there are plenty of good and pretty girls with good family backgrounds. It's only a good match when the family is right. Susia. In the eyes of the boss, you are very good. From a lover's point of view, you're good too." He rightly asked me. "So, I like you. What's wrong with that?" I was momentarily speechless and didn't know what to say. "We are not suitable." He looked at me with a smile that had a clear meaning to it. "What's wrong with it? It's not like it's not appropriate in bed or out of bed." I blushed. You know that's not what I'm talking about. You don't need to think about those things. Now you just need to take one step forward. I'll take the rest of the 99 steps. Ethan Joe's tone was exceptionally firm. I don't dare to say anything else. If you follow me, my money is yours and so are my people. No one can give you a hard time. And you don't have to please anyone. You can do whatever you want. As long as you don't cuckold me. Everything else is fine. After saying that, he still didn't forget to threaten me. Of course. If you don't promise me to turn around and look for someone else, I will also designate you to spoil it. You should know what kind of person I am. I was touched for a moment. I wanted to cry and laugh. Like a fool. He raised his hand and touched on my head with a winning smile. Why don't you nod your head? I'm going to call the police. Asshole. I scolded him and cried unproductively again. I'm really slow when it comes to emotions. Ethan Joe moved quickly and took me back to the Joe family's old mansion the next day. A simple and painful sentence. We're getting married. Let everyone know. His family is a big family, with a large number of aunts and uncles. At once, the family group boiled over and exploded. First, the second aunt spoke out in mockery. Agu. Isn't this girl your secretary? She's got a lot of skills. Ethan Joe nodded. Well, she is really capable. She left the company today. Half of the business will be put on hold. And next month you will get half of the dividends in your hand. Auntie 2 lost the battle. Uncle 3 was back on the line. I said Xiao Baiya. This marriage is still to find a door to door. I know a little girl. Good family. Good education. People and thoughtful. Ethan Joe lazily asked. Why? You have been with him? The second uncle was furious. You. What are you talking about? I don't know what to say. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. The ones you keep outside are going to make a mess. I would say that you should drink more turtle soup when you have time. Uncle 2 has lost the battle. And his cousin has come to replace him. Brother. What's so good about her? She's just a secretary who got to the top by her looks. Ethan Joe gave her a dirty look. Ethan Joe glanced at her. She's in her 20s. She makes $1 million a year on her own. And even if she leaves me, there are still many companies that would love to have her. What about you? With that 2 tails of sesame oil in your stomach. You are nothing without the aura that the Zhou family has given you. Cousin down the line. Sister-in-law to persuade and make peace. Bye. Everyone is doing this for your own good. The elders have eaten more salt than you have eaten rice. Ethan Joe was speechless. No wonder you guys are so idle. In short, Ethan Joe is the main and indiscriminate attack. See who dislike. Today, we are here to let everyone recognize our faces, so that we can be more polite in the future. If anyone else is going to tell us what to do, whoever wants to run this company can do so. I'm rich anyway. And I'm going to take my daughter-in-law and have a good time. The audience was full of whispers. But only 2 people were silent. That is, Ethan Joe's mom and dad. Someone disliked his mom. Look at your son. His mom peeled off her newly done nails and said impatiently. I'll be thankful if he just doesn't bring a guy back. The crowd looked at his father. Brother. Say something. Ethan Joe reminded the crowd. Ethan Joe reminded him. Dad. You're a decades-old party member. Speak up and pay attention to your own consciousness. His father glared at him angrily. What did I say? I support freedom of love and freedom of marriage. His father looked at me and admonished. Girl. Take good care of this asshole from now on. Anyway. Everything went surprisingly well. After we got together, Ethan Joe even put our 2 houses together. I'm speechless. Is that where fornication comes from? Moreover, when this person is in love, he is really sticky. I'm at work, but I'm constantly harassing him on the microblogging. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get a good look at him. The bed in the lounge is so soft. Do not go. He threatened me. Do not come to deduct your salary. I grumbled and killed over. Dare to deduct my wages. Go home from work and kneel on the rubbing board. He kissed me so much that I couldn't catch my breath. And my lipstick was spent. I was furious. But he was still angry with me. Why don't you disclose it? My masculine energy is almost sucked out by you. And I don't even have a name. There you go again. If I disclose it, people will think I've been selling my sex to get to the top all these years. Obviously. I've made it this far with a will of steel. Thinking about this, I can't help but rehash old scores. You used to yell at me to work overtime every day. He coughed lightly. That's not to see you. I didn't have weeks off in a row. Didn't I always take you out on weekends? I think you need to relax after working hard. Me. All I want to do on weekends is to lie in bed and sleep until I pass out. The heart of the watermelon and the tips of the strawberries in every fruit cut are all yours. Aren't they? I didn't notice. I admit that I was. Indeed. A little slow in the head before. When will it be publicized? Well, see. When I walked out of Ethan Joe's office after dealing with him, some of my colleagues teased me. Yo. Sophia is looking better and better lately. Her skin is so white and red. What kind of skincare products did you use? My face was hot. Oh. It's just that the quality of my sleep has gotten better recently. A few days later. The company statistics personal information I filled in a married. Caused a piece of gossip. Sophia. When did you secretly get married? Yes. Why did you hide it? Yes. Why did you hide it from everyone? I explained. Because we are in the same company. It is not convenient. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves. And everyone was guessing who my secretly married husband was. From the new intern to the marketing manager to the finance director. Everyone guessed. In the end, Mr. Lee, the human resources manager and also my eating partner, quietly tugged at me. Susia. Tell me. Who is that adulterer of yours? She winked. From my years of experience in reading people. First of all, rule out the boss. This? You've ruled him out. What am I supposed to say? Of course. It's only right for her to rule out Ethan Joe first. After all, every time I spit on him, I take the brunt. Manager Lee. Go cure your eyes sometime. Ethan Joe appeared behind us at an unknown time. Coldly and startlingly. He raised his hand to touch my head and asked in a low voice. Do you want to eat hot pot or barbecue tonight? Hot pot. I'm on a diet. Ethan Joe nodded and raised his foot to walk away. I couldn't help but poke the person beside me with a confused face. Hey. Mr. Lee. She suddenly grabbed me with a shining gaze. Young granny. You can call me Little Lizzie. Extra. Speaking of which. After getting married, Ethan Joe's mom seemed to see the hope of the family's future. And his daily urging was back online. He directly dumped a sentence. The next 3 years have no plans. In fact, I'm the one who doesn't want to have kids. I didn't have a happy childhood. And I always felt that I didn't have good plans for parenthood. I don't have relatives. And I don't like that kind of hot and heavy ceremony. So I didn't have a wedding after getting the license. He all followed my ideas. Some people oppose the first dislike back. And finally cannot reach my ears. These years. I can do whatever I want. And no one gives me aggression. He said that year. Have done. After the 3rd year of marriage. Ethan Joe's mother no longer urged the birth of children. But began to question him. Is there something wrong with you? I suggested that we should have a baby for fun. He was a bit excited. Let's have a daughter. Soft and cute. How cute. I glanced at him. It depends on you. 10 months later. The blind box was opened. And it was a great baby. He looks like a cute version of Ethan Joe. My mother-in-law couldn't help but taunt him. It's not because you're not capable. You can't make a daughter. Why don't you realize how hard it has been for me and your dad to raise you all these years? She said. Then she came to help watch the baby. Ethan Joe said bluntly. You're not adding to the problem. What kind of womanizer isn't better than you? Sitting in the womb is already tiring. And there are a bunch of relatives coming to the house to compare with each other. Ethan Joe turned around and started spraying again. Attacking indiscriminately. I told you not to have a cesarean section. A normal birth produces a healthy and smart child. Yo. Your 3 children who were born by cesarean section didn't even score 400 points in the college entrance exam. Did they? When it was time to breastfeed, Ethan Joe blew them away with impatience. There are also those who are not afraid of being disliked. It's just breastfeeding. Who doesn't have it? Why are you afraid to look? If you have breastfeeding, why do you have to stare at other people's breastfeeding? Are you envious or jealous? You're old enough to have some face. After the operation, the incision hurt like hell. And I was lying on the bed in a state of despair. Ethan Joe also felt bad. I won't suffer anymore. I'm going to get my tubes tied. As a result, just after he finished the operation, a relative who was not afraid of death ran into his head. Male sterilization is not good for your health. Ask your daughter-in-law to have it done. My daughter-in-law gave birth to my child by cesarean section. So what's wrong with me getting a ligature? Why don't you read more books? You're so busy all day long. People who don't know you think you're living in the Pacific Ocean. Ethan Joe often curses and yells. I gave birth to the baby. And he suffered from postpartum depression. I recovered well. And my son was very good when he was with me. Smiling with bubbles. He's much cuter than his own father. Some people hate him. But they can't help hugging him. I don't know if it's a bad match between them. But Ethan Joe always gets a pee every time. It'll get you when you grow up. He threatens the little dumpling in his arms. The little dumpling ate fast. Grew fast. Learned to crawl. Learned to walk. And began to learn to speak. In the late summer and early fall, the evening breeze was slightly cooler. I snuggled in his arms and counted the stars in the night sky. He lowered his head slightly and kissed me. There was a little group of people tugging at his pants leg with an anxious look on their faces. Mommy. I want Mommy to kiss me. Ethan Joe tapped him on the head. I want to kiss my wife. You go kiss your wife. The little dumpling was dumbfounded. I laughed from ear to ear. And overheard a small patch of flowers of different colors blooming in the yard at some point. Especially at this time of the year when all the flowers are wilting. They are very conspicuous. Ethan Joe. What kind of flowers are these? When did you plant it? Why did it suddenly bloom? The sunflower, also known as the can't die flower, grew up a few days ago after scattering a few seeds. He explains. He explained. It's really pretty. I couldn't help but sigh. In a moment of boredom, I couldn't help but hold his face and ask. Ethan Joe. What do you really like about me? He said that waiting for a flower to bloom is a very happy thing. Some people are born as vase roses. Some are born as wild flowers. Some people love the delicacy of roses, while others prefer the purity of wildflowers. The girl he likes is as tenacious and tough as a wildflower, and will not bend. A little dew, a ray of sunshine, can burst out infinite vitality. He is a florist and a waiter. Waiting for the wind to come. Waiting for flowers to bloom. Waiting for you to roam the mountains. Waiting for you to run to me. The wild lilies will also have their own spring. The heart is rich. No fear of the wind and frost.